Here's the gear that I use for wedding photography. Hey guys, my name is Justin from Project Image, and today I want to show you what my setup looks like for wedding photography. It's currently a minimal setup, but I find that it gets the job done and it does it pretty good too. I'm really used to it now, and it's probably what I'm going to be rocking for the next few years with a few tweaks here and there. Otherwise, I want you guys to use this video as more of a guideline on how you can curate your own setup and use this as inspiration, because what may work for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So yeah, let's get into the video. First things first, rocket air blower. Highly recommend, especially if you plan to keep your gear clean, but also to not scruff it up or scratch the front element of the lens, things like that. I'll use this to blow onto the lens, blow any dust off, and if it doesn't come off, then I'll use this lens pen right here with the very soft bristles. It's got a soft brush at the top, just so you don't scratch that front element or even the camera body itself. Next up are these lens filters right here. Not sure if that focused, but they're in this pouch that I got from Amazon. Currently has an ND, a Cine Bloom filter, and a CPL filter in there as well. I rarely use the first two, but I definitely use a CPL during weddings. For example, when the bride is inside the car, I like to shoot through the window, create those like nice reflections, but also see the bride in the frame. During the ceremony, sometimes I'm outside the actual venue and I'm shooting through a window, glass window, getting the bride's reaction, things like that. So pretty useful, definitely recommend the CPL. So next up, I got these batteries right here. They power both of my camera bodies. I have 6 in total, so 3 each. I just split it in the middle. And generally during a full day wedding, so maybe around 10 to 12 hours, I only go through 2 batteries per camera. So I never actually use the third one for each, but it's just nice to have a backup. So it's a mix of Sony batteries and also some third-party branded batteries too. So I definitely recommend those ones just because they're usually 50% less expensive than the Sony branded ones, and they work just as fine. For me personally, nothing bad has happened. So for lighting, especially during receptions, I use 2 Godox V1 flashes with a Mag Sphere by Magmod on top. And what my setup looks like is I'll use one on my camera body and I'll set up the other one on a tripod or even a monopod if I have a partner helping me out during the reception. The reason why I like this setup is with the off-camera flash, especially when you're using it as a rim light, it creates a little bit of separation from the background and the subject, creating more depth. And if you're shooting objects as well, rather than just using a front-facing flash, using this as a setup by itself as an off-camera flash can create some nice looking shots. So I definitely recommend these guys. And with the diffusers on top, these are probably my favorite because it's magnetic. So it's very easy to come off and on, easy to store in your camera bag. Squishes, still holds its shape, bounces the light everywhere, and also bounces it up as well so you can get that bounce off the ceiling. So yeah, highly recommend these two. Alright, so for my camera body setup, I use 2 Sony a7 III's. The other one is currently filming me right now, and these are my workhorses. I've had them for a few years now, and will probably still continue to have them for the next 3 to 5 years in all honesty. Autofocus is quick. 10 frames per second is fast enough for me. I don't shoot sports, but for wedding days works perfectly. And 24 megapixels, those RAW files look amazing. I've never had a problem with them. And I think one of my favorite things about these camera bodies right here are dual card slots. So currently my setup right now are 2 128 gigabyte SanDisk Extreme cards, and I have them writing the same files to both. So I always have a backup just in case something happens to my first SD card. And my biggest fear, I'll let you guys know now as a wedding photographer, is going home and realizing that my files are corrupted. I can't just, go up to the couple and be like, hey, can we run that back real quick? It doesn't really work that way. So just having 2 card slots, 2 SD cards of the same files just gives me that peace of mind, and I can rest easy at night knowing that nothing like that will happen. So yeah, so with the lenses that I use a mix of primes and zooms. So I'm not really a team prime or a team zoom kind of guy. I like to use both, and the first one I'll talk about will be the 35mm f1.4. So it's the one from Sigma. It's the old art lens, so it's not the native one to Sony. It's not as fast as the DGDN in terms of autofocus, but the image quality is still tack sharp. I love how it renders its bokeh, especially when shooting portraits of the bride and groom or just guests in general. It creates this nice looking effect rather than just using a telephoto lens for portraits. I like having more context in the background, and it's probably my bread and butter lens really. It stays on my camera body like 95% of the time. So yeah, I love that lens. All right, now my reception lens. So we've got the Sigma 24-70 DGDN f2.8. I love this lens. I love the 24mm, the wide end of it. It's still very sharp throughout the range. I rarely use the telephoto end actually. This is essentially the lens that I use only for receptions. I don't like to bust it out because I like having more faster lenses, especially throughout the day. Love shooting at 1.4 or 1.8. This can only go to 2.8, but I just like having that option to either go 35mm or 50 during a reception if I need. However, I will bust this out throughout the day if I need a wide shot of the venue or an establishing shot or a group photo with all the guests and the bride and groom in the middle. So yeah, it's not really a lens that I keep on the camera body for most of the day, but I'm glad I have it when I need it. Might be replaced with a prime sometime in the future. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, 24-70. Probably the next quintessential lens that I have is the 85 f1.4 G Master from Sony. I love this lens. It is so sharp, the bokeh looks amazing, and it's got pretty quick autofocus as well. It's a little bit bigger and heavier than the f1.8, which was what I had for quite some time, but I decided to upgrade just to get that better look in my images. However, you definitely don't need it. You can get away with a 1.8 as I have been for the past few years, but I thought it was due time for an upgrade. This will stay on my second body for 90 to 95% of the time as well. So I have that telephoto range covered with the 85, and the 35 will cover my wide end. It's not really that wide, but it's wide enough. So having both of those gives me that versatility to get the shots that I need. So this 85 will definitely stay on my camera body. However, if I need more range, I grab the 70-200 G Master f2.8 lens. I love this lens. It's very sharp. I love the compression on the telephoto end. I don't need to be close to the subject, especially during ceremonies. Some areas don't allow you to get too close, or in general, I just don't like getting into a lot of the guests' way because I kind of feel like I ruined the experience of the wedding for everyone and just become too much of a distraction. Don't be that guy. Otherwise, it looks pretty aesthetic. I like having it on the camera. I feel like when people see the white lens come out, they're like, oh, that's a proper photographer. I know it's not about that, but it is nice. It's a nice lens to have, and it's definitely my quintessential ceremony lens. So yeah, that's what my setup is currently looking like right now. Like I said before, treat this more of a guideline rather than a checklist of what you need to be a wedding photographer. And stay tuned for more videos. I plan to make more of these sit-down style videos and potentially some BTS videos of my wedding days. So yeah, see you guys next time.